Show.
This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair Show, and today we're pleased to have recording artist Kerli on the show. What was the most oppressive thing about growing up in the Russian-occupied town of Elva, Estonia, and how did it fuel your fire for success?
I always felt like the whole mindset was just, it's very different from what it is here, you know. It's like, here people have these big dreams and everybody's really supportive here, you know, and when your child wants to be a movie star, the whole family will move to Los Angeles and the child will be a movie star. Or at least he's given an opportunity. But like the whole communist, though the country was only communist until I was 4, people's mindset doesn't change that fast, you know. Before that, it was a communist for a long time, and like a lot of older people were just really, you're not supposed to show your emotions, you're not supposed to laugh too much or cry too much or dream, and that was always the hardest part to me, because I was always like a big dreamer and always kind of very intuitive and really believed in the power of the mind since I was little. I couldn't really explain it, but I always knew what I was going to do and be. And everybody was always kind of trying to break my spirit. And that, of course, made me want to do everything even more, because I was like, it wasn't even like, I'm going to show you kind of thing. It was more like, there's no way I'm going to live here. So, you know, I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to get out. To get to America actually took me quite many years. You know, I started doing this whole thing when I was 14, which was 7 years ago. And I first entered, I saw like a talent search on TV, and I entered this talent competition. And I had to lie about my age because I wasn't old enough. You had to be 15, I was 14. And I happened to win it, and then I got signed. The guy who signed me got dropped, or got fired, so we all got dropped, all his artists. And then when I was like 16 or 17, 16, I started writing music, and one of my songs actually became kind of a big hit in Estonia. So some publisher in Sweden was like, all right, let her come here. Yeah, she doesn't sound convincing. Yes, all right, let her come here, try to write with our songwriters. So I spent 2 years in Sweden just writing all the time. And then Josh Sarabin, who's my A&R at Def Jam, he heard like one of my demos and he was like, yeah, I just want to come check her out. So that's how then he invited me to New York, and that's how it went down.
And that's where that's when you met L.A. Reid.
Mm-hmm.
The song and the album title, Love Is Dead, is that about one particular relationship?
Well, when I first wrote it, it was about one particular relationship, or at least I thought so. I felt like love was dead a lot of times in my life. So now when I sing it, I don't think about the person I wrote it to, you know. I think about everybody and everything that has ever hurt me, and I think about what is going on in the world, you know, and how people are up against each other like we're not brothers and sisters, and I just don't quite understand it, and it's really sad. So it's actually a really universal song. And I call the album Love Is Dead because everything that I've been through during writing this album, which has actually been like 5 years or so, you could say that love was dead for that whole time. And I was just like, you know, I'm never going to do Love Is Dead again. I'm never going to be that depressed again. So I just wanted to kind of get it out of the way.
You did make a statement about the world today, that people are not loving each other.
I just feel like there is so little love and so little respect. And it all comes down to individuals and parents, you know, not maybe having time for their kids. How can you love and respect somebody else if you don't love and respect yourself? And people don't really respect themselves. Do you notice? It's like, even if you look at women, everything is sold with sex. It's like there's very little self-respect. So how can we expect people to have respect for others if you don't even respect yourself? I just think that we are really going to destroy ourselves, and the world is just going to kind of start all over again and shed all this stuff. You know, it's like, I always have this vision of world like Mother Earth, and we're putting pavements on it, and we're like bumping its blood out like oil, you know, to make money and so on, and we're just disrespecting our mother. And I think that eventually it will just shed its skin, which is fine. Just people are gonna die.
On your MySpace page, you write, and I quote, At least I know that I am not doing music so I can pamper my ego with all the fake shit in the world, like fame, money, and admiration. These are dead values. How did you come to this revelation?
We actually just had a conversation in the car about this with Bruce. Because I went to this really pretentious Hollywood party over the weekend. And everybody was doing coke and everybody was being really cool. And I was just like, there's no way on earth I'm ever going to be able to live a life like this and do what I do, because it's just going to lose its purpose. You know? I'm not here to belong. I'm here to carve a path. And, you know, have these people who don't feel like they belong and can relate to anybody. Have somebody who they can relate to. 'Cause I don't feel like I belong either, but it's fine.
Who came up with the concept and creation of the Kerli doll that comes into existence and appears in your Walking on Air video and the cover of your new CD, Love is Dead?
That is actually my idea. I actually went to the art department and I kind of had to sit down and cry, because they were like, what do you mean you're not going to have your face on the album cover? And I was like, no. Because I want it painted and I want it animated, and we put together all these little details like the corset, and like we spend a lot of time on it. And I was just like, something that is like animated and fairy tale-ish is gonna kind of explain who I am so much more than just my face. So I just really wanted to create something magical and something childlike, you know, that people can just get lost in. So I always liked, when I was little, my favorite music video was Spice Girls' Viva Forever, where they're like little fairies flying around. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna do stuff like that, because, you know, it's like watching just beautiful colors and images. It's just so powerful. I love watching like fairytopia Barbie movies, and I turn the sound down and I play it with like Aphex Twin or like some hard electronic music, and just putting something dark and something innocent and beautiful and visually captivating together. It's just, that's what I want to do.
How did your street team, Moon Children, come about, and what is the deeper significance for you of it?
Ah, I love that you're asking about it. Nobody's ever asked about it before. Moon Children. I actually came up with this whole thing once when I was just bored in my house, and I was like, instead of having a street team, I'm going to create like a cult. And I took the definition of indigo kids. Do you know indigo? Do you know about indigo kids?
You can help me.
It's like like people who think in a different way than the world is used to, and they've got a lot of anxiety, and they're very overly sensitive, a lot of autism, and they say that they get really, really miserable when they're not around other indigo kids, because they don't like authority unless it's really well explained, and everything it says, it's just like, oh my God, this is me, you know? And I changed it into Moon Children, and Moon Children came because I love the moon, and moon represents emotions and kind of a new female era, because I believe that this is where the world is going to go soon. It's going to go to a female era, like embracing, nurturing, emotional era, instead of like cold, calculating kind of man-son era. And so yeah, Moon Children are like emotional children, and I created like 7 commandments that are like our little Bible. And I just wanted to create like a little community, and instead of just being like, hey everybody, put Kerli posters up, I wanted to like, you know, give something to people that they feel good about.
Who came up with the concept for your music video, Love is Dead?
Well, the concept, 3 years ago when I got signed, I'd been collecting pictures of everything that I wanted to look like and what my video was supposed to look like and everything. And I created this little book of Kerli. It was all like little ribbons, and it was like very decorated, from hair to shoes to environments to like absolutely every detail. So we gave all the script writers this book so they would get an idea of who I was. The whole treatment was an idea of this team called Aggressive. Alex and Dan, they're absolute geniuses.
Define the word love.
Acceptance.
Heartbreak.
A lesson.
Fear.
Fear. Evil.
What inspired the song Butterfly Cry?
Butterfly Cry was the first song I wrote after coming out my really, really heavy, long depression. So it's kind of like, you know, the lyrics are, I have been there, I used to believe there was no light, but I found out that life is just too short to fight. So as I actually remember a moment where I was standing outside in the rain and somebody was on the window and they're like, Kerli, come in, it's raining. And I'm like, I know. It's raining. It's amazing. You know, I felt like my eyes were just opened to like a new world that had always been there, but that I just didn't notice.
Kerli, it's been great having you on the show.
Yeah.
That's a nice hug.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You rule. All right, this is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show with Kerli. Signing off.